So that's Anne-Katrine Thiele, Olympic champion in the quad scull from Germany, now having a go in the single scull. Catherine Granger looking across the course, I think, lining up her bow, making sure she's positioned properly. Sophie Connolly to the right of the shot here. So this is a heat of the Princess Royal Challenge Cup. And we have Anne-Katrine Thiele against Sophie Connolly.
Connolly, when I see that you're both straight and ready, I will start you like this. Attention, go. Get ready, please. Attention, go.
So Connolly from Leicester Rowing Club on the right of our shot is going to need a Leicester City style performance today if she's going to come through against the Olympic champion. This is going to need the performance of her life, but it's great to be racing here on the Henley course, and Connolly on the right there has made a pretty decent start, Sean.
Very good start. I'm impressed with Sarah Connolly. Now she just needs to watch her steering, which seems to happen to most people coming off the island. They just drift off to the right.
Yeah, well, the island just makes you think you want to steer away from it, and we can see there she's drifted out into the middle of the course, but it looks like Thiele there from Germany with those German flags on her blades has been able to open up a little bit of a gap. So the umpire, Richard Stanhope, hasn't needed to go for his flag at this stage. I think Connolly from Leicester will know she needs to steer herself out. She doesn't want to be in Anne-Katrine Thiele's puddles that come off those blades, so she'll try to ease her way back onto the station as she's done so here. And really sculling very nicely. Connolly in the foreground there, just using her arms slightly to get the blades, those spoons locked in the water, and then once the spoons are locked, then she's moving the boat past and making good long strokes there.
Unfortunately, though, this is one of the unique aspects of Henley, where you can suddenly find yourself like Connolly, who learned in a Learn to Row course just 4 years ago against a 3-time Olympic medalist.
It's fantastic, and she's actually we've asked her what's a highlight, and a highlight in rowing will be coming to Henley Royal Regatta for the first time and racing in something like this. So fantastic to see her in there and making really good effort of it, keeping alongside there, or keeping in the race with Thiele as best she can.
And very good composure considering her early steering issue, and she's back in it, very well controlled.
Yeah, really, she's moving nicely. You can see that bumpy water as well. Difficult conditions because there's pleasure boats moving along there, moving quite fast. You can see the waves there, but she's able to handle that pretty well. And you see those white spoons moving nicely in and out of the water, just touching the water perhaps, but I don't want to be harsh on her. She's out there racing an Olympic champion.
And Thiele from Sport Club Deutsche Hochschule für Kultur. A gold in Rio in the quad, and 2 silvers in 2008 and 2012 in London. So she's raced this, although this is her first race here at Henley. She was only 20 miles down the track a few years ago.
That's right, and for her, she's been going for it in the single scull, and we expect to see her perhaps racing against Victoria Thornley, the British hope, who was in the silver medal double with Catherine Granger at the Rio Olympics. Vicky Thornley now going for it in the single, and Anne-Katrine Thiele now going for it in the single for Germany. So that's a matchup we hope to see later on in the regatta. So a quiet job for Richard Stanhope to the left in the umpire's launch, able to keep his flags under control as we see the scullers coming down here. And what's Thiele doing so well here, Sean, on the right of the shot?
Well, you can see she has nice control of her blades, and she has a very, very clean finish. She's holding on to that water to the very end, which is extremely important when the water's bumpy here.
Yeah, and this is not a flattering angle to be filmed from as a rower, is it? You don't really want to be seen here, because you can see if those blades come loose at all and stop being locked, then you see that and you notice it on this camera angle. But like you say, she's holding that finish really very nicely in there.
And I'm glad she's moving away from the booms. She was just a little close for me, because there's a magnetism to those booms. They just draw you in like a dark circle. But she's moving away, which is good. She has the distance to do that now.
Yeah, we saw her make a little correction there about 10 strokes ago, where she would have just put a little bit more pressure on the right blade, perhaps eased off on her left blade. I think she did it again there as she just came past Thiele, which marks the halfway down the course here, just to keep herself just where she wants to be on the track.
Now she's in a safer part of the course now, a good 10 feet away from the booms.
Yeah, and you can see the bumpy water there.
You can see her knee shifts back and forth depending on which wave is hitting her.
Yeah, and you can see there's enough to be done there. That single scull only weighs in at 14 kilos. Yes. I don't know my pounds, about 30 pounds is that?
14 kilos?
Yeah.
That'll be 30 pounds, close enough, 31.
So it's a small boat, a very small craft. They pick them up and stick them under their arm and carry them away. So it's going to get moved around by the waves, and as with all great sport, really, it looks easy when you're seeing it being done like this. But we've had a swimmer already once this week in a single scull.
But she's working hard. She's just too close to those booms. But she's working hard. She's not easing off yet. Connolly is really pushing hard to keep in contact with her.
Yeah, and I think the sort of bumpy water maybe makes you go to your arms a little bit because you want to feel the connection. So you can see her arms just locking in there. I know that's something she does anyway, having watched her in the quad for the last few years and racing the single at Poznan at World Cup 2 that I did recently. She's able to enjoy being on the Henley course now, and Connolly, I hope, is enjoying her performance. Coming past the Remenham Club, I hope she'll get some support from there. We saw Thiele again making that little correction with the right scull, just putting that little bit of extra pressure on.
I'm sure Connolly will be well received at the hospital where she's a veterinary nurse when she gets back on Monday.
And for the single scull and these women's events, there is only one. There's only one category, so we're going to have Olympic champions up against club rowers who have regular day jobs. We'll have the same thing with the, of course, with the women's pair. It's a new event, the women's double and the women's four. Yeah, we're going to see these sorts of competitions, which is fantastic.
Which looks uneven, but it's great experience for the inexperienced rowers. They can see what they need to do to improve over the coming years.
And it's pretty special, isn't it? Like a competition where you can have club rowers, schoolboys going out on the same course as Olympic champions. And I know what you're going to say, Sean. You're not happy about her steering, are you?
I'm not happy about it at all. I mean, you know, the booms are dangerous, but the posts are deadly. And she'll have to change that for tomorrow because it'll be a tougher race.
Yeah, and you can imagine if you steer like that and you catch a little crosswind, then suddenly you find yourself getting pushed towards those booms, or a big weight comes and pushes you, then it's a race ender, really, if you crash into those booms.
But if you're sculling and you're glancing over to the boom, it just brings your starboard blade a little bit further out at the catch, and it's just moving you towards the boom.
Like you say, it's like a magnet, isn't it, that can pull you towards it. You want to step away, but you can't stop thinking about it.
You can't. And I'm sure, I'm not a physicist, but I'm sure wood does not attract carbon fiber. But it certainly seems that way from the cheap seats up here in the control room.
Well, we're getting to see the town of Henley there. I'm tempted to use the word quintessentially British, and enjoying the regatta. These athletes will all be staying with families. There's no big hotels that they all board in here. It's out with families. And the people of Henley like to take on athletes, move the kids out of their bedrooms, make them go and stay with friends, and take on board a crew. Or
you can bet that's not happening in Wimbledon. The tennis pros are not staying with local people in, what is it, Southwest 18?
Well, it's funny, I think some of them do. Certainly the officials do. I was lucky enough to live around Wimbledon. I never rented my house out, but I had friends who supposedly did very well out of it. I didn't have a good enough shower, apparently. So fantastic sculling there from Anna-Katrine Thiele, coming down across the road, across the finish line. She's able to look over her shoulder, and she'll stop now and wait for Sophie Connolly from Leicester Rowing Club, who's dealing with those conditions pretty well still. She knows she's raced an absolutely top-class athlete here. She has a little look over her shoulder, realises we're at the finish line. And I hope that's been a fantastic scull for her.
Well, you look at it in a different...
So that's confirmation of the result then in the Princess Royal Challenge Cup. That win for Anna-Katrine Thiele over Sophie Connolly.
Well, if I was Sophie Connolly, if you have to go out and lose, you might as well lose to a 3-time Olympic medalist.